So we've got everything in our pot. We have our sugar, we have our tea, we have the right amount of water. Now we're going to boil this, bring it down to a boil just for a short period of time. It can sometimes make green tea a little bit bitter to be boiled at too high a temperature. And then we just let the complete sugar, water, and tea mixture just sit for room temperature. So for most people at this time of year when it's a little warmer outside, it's going to be a couple of hours before it comes down to room temperature. It's really important it not be too hot before we add it to our SCOBY and our starter tea. Once again, bacteria and yeast can be their production can be regulated by temperature. So if it's too hot, it could kill them. If it's too cold, it can also get in the way of them replicating. So we want them to be at the ideal temperature. So room temperature, just let it come down. You can stick your finger, stick your elbow, and it just feels perfect. Then we're going to take the finished tea that's cooled down. We're going to get back into our large jar here that we're going to have our ferment going on in. And we're going to pour that mixture into our large vessel. Once we've done that, and I'll do that as carefully as I can, if you have loose tea, make sure that you've got a sieve to help you regulate. I don't in this one. I've taken my tea already out. I'm going to pour it into my large container here. As you can see, there's no tea leaves. So if you are straining out tea leaves, use your sieve. They can be used again for another brew. Don't feel that you can only use them for one brew. You actually can usually get two. You might have to add another tea bag or two or a little bit more, but you don't have to throw that away. When they have been sort of losing all of their strength, compost it. Make sure that you compost it, not throw it out in your garbage. It makes wonderful compost that you can use if you have any green space outside or if you know someone that could make use of that compost. So now we've got our finished brewed tea. So the tea's just nice warm temperature, not hot, not cold. And we've sieved out all of the tea that was used in the initial brewing process. I'm now going to take my starter tea that I got from a friend and my very odd looking SCOBY, and I'm going to add that to my sweet tea that I've just made. So there's the SCOBY. Yes, it looks like an alien. I'm going to put that in. And sometimes they'll float, sometimes they'll sink to the bottom, sometimes they kind of hang out on the side. It's all good. Totally perfect. Whatever it wants to do is fine. We're going to pour in our starter tea, which once again is going to give the right bacteria and yeast cultures that we want for our kombucha. That's all we need to do for now. We're going to make sure that we put our covering over top of that. There's my bigger one. So I've got the covering to keep anything I don't want out, but to still help it breathe and get oxygen. Then I'm going to mark my date on here. What is today's date? Add 7 days to it. Put that date here. After 7 days, come back, bring yourself a straw. Just pop your straw and take a little bit of a sip. If it's fairly strong, the way that you like it, then you're ready to move on to step 2, and we'll do that in the next video. If it's still a little weak and you'd like it to have a little bit more of a kick, leave it for a few more days. Every single day, just kind of stick a straw in or spoon, take a little bit of a sip and see if it's where you want it. If after 7 days you take that first little hit and it tastes like vinegar, it's very strong, do not throw it out. You can always dilute it if it's already gotten a little bit stronger than you would like. It doesn't mean that the brew is wrecked at all. You'll be able to utilize it just by watering it down a little bit. So that's the first step in brewing kombucha. This is called the First Ferment. And I'm going to do another video and we'll go into a little bit about what we do when this is ready and how we can contain the kombucha in a second ferment with anaerobic fermentation and increase the CO2 or the fizz that we get in these lovely store-bought ones. Fairly quick to do, but in the meantime, while you're waiting for this to brew, go see if you can find some of these. If you have friends that buy kombucha or drinks that are under pressure that would have the right kinds of lids, preferably glass, these are what you need to find. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video.